I'm ready to lock this in, folks, as we've heard a lot of names linked to the Toronto Raptors ever since it was confirmed the Raptors were selecting with the number 9 overall selection in this year's NBA draft. And one name that a lot of fans have been clamoring for, that I've been bringing up, is Derik Queen, who is a big man who fits a positional need for this Toronto Raptors team and frankly was a very exciting and talented basketball player out there in college. However, I'm ready to lock in, despite what all the mock drafts are saying, despite what's coming out regarding positional needs and everything like that, for a couple of reasons that Derik Queen will not end up being a Toronto Raptor out there in this year's NBA draft. Now, this might sound a little bit crazy because he is one of the more intriguing prospects and he is projected to go in the range of the Toronto Raptors. I want to discuss one of the more polarizing players amongst Toronto Raptors fandom in regards to a guy that could potentially get drafted for this team at this current range. So we're going to break down who Derik Queen is, what it would mean for the Toronto Raptors to select him, and why overall I don't think Masai Ujiri is going to go in this direction for the NBA draft. So lots of stuff to break down out here in this video. Before we do, folks, again, if you want to stay up to date with everything going on with this Toronto Raptors team, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date, because we're delivering daily Toronto Raptors news coverage throughout the offseason, throughout next season, throughout forever. We're rocking out some Raptors content. So let's dive into it, because who the heck is Derik Queen? Well, if you looked at any of the mock drafts, you looked at anything that's coming up right now, according to Tankathon, the Raptors are projected to land Derik Queen at the number 9th overall selection. It's really him and Immanuel who are the two big men that a lot of people are looking for at the center position. That is a positional need for the Toronto Raptors that could fall in the Toronto Raptors range. And while Immanuel is someone I brought up a ton out here on this Raptors channel, Derik Queen is someone I've seen in the comment section, I've seen on Reddit, on Twitter, being like, people either saying, stay away from this guy with a 10-foot pole, or, hey, this needs to be the player that we draft, that we select. And, he should be in this range because, again, you see he's mocked to go to the Toronto Raptors in this one. You see him falling to about what pick is he? He's pick 18 in this mock draft here from NBADraft.net. Immanuel falls deep in this one as well, which is kind of crazy. So, they're all over the place. Derik Queen falling to 12th in this mock draft here. Derik Queen is someone that should be available at the number 9 overall selection, and don't take my word for it. Masai Ujiri kind of addressed it being a position need as well. Of course, the team is going to look for the best talent available. It's the answer everyone gives, but it's a unique draft, and we'll feel there'll be a talented player available when our name gets ball. Of course, we need another young big. We would definitely look at that, but it's not really what we are focused on, to be honest. There are a lot of talented kids. So basically, Masai Ujiri saying he understands, he believes, he agrees with the fact that, yes, a big man coming into the Toronto Raptors would be a positional fit, would be a positional need for this team. However, he's going to be looking for the best talent available. He's going to be looking for the guy that, again, when you have a lottery pick in a draft that's supposed to be as stacked as this one is, you don't want to just go for positional needs and things that will impact the team right now, especially where we weren't a great team last season. Figuring out what is the highest upside, what is the best player you can basically draft at one of these positions, that's what you really want to go for. And basically, that's what Masai Ujiri's been open about, and he acknowledges the positional need, and he acknowledges this. But why not Derik Queen? Why not? Because, again, you look at his stats, he's a very good basketball player. In college, again, these numbers are very different than the NBA. So 16.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 1.1 blocks, 1.1 steals. Just a very, very solid player. Again, not a crazy efficient three-point shooter by any stretch of the imagination, but 52% from the field. A big man that can really get the job done. I mean, if we look at his sort of overall stats and stuff, he's 6'10", 250 pounds. He's he's over 20 years old, so still not like super young, not a 18-year-old, a guy like Cooper Flagg or anything like that, but still a very young basketball player coming in, and would just really be able to add some offensive firepower, scoring punch to this team, moving in. And, he's an exciting basketball player. Don't get me wrong. I think Derik Queen is a good player. And frankly, I wouldn't be that frustrated. Wouldn't be mad at all in regards to someone that getting selected here. And we can take a look at his strengths and weaknesses because, again, you got to take a look at these in terms of what's going on. He has some size and speed combo. So he's, the athleticism is in a weird spot because he's 6'10", like not a 7'2" guy like Immanuel, but he does have some burst out there at the center position. He's a switchable defender. He creates his own offense, and he's a solid passer and touch. So, that's something that, you compare him to Immanuel, just basically a very different player. He's a creator at the center position. He can get a lot going for himself. He can pass. He can do a lot of stuff out there on the offensive end. Just a really comfortable basketball player at the big man position. So, these are all things that are very much pros, positives. Like, Ben, you see all these positives. Why wouldn't you draft him? Well, the cons are the things that, frankly, make me skeptical about whether or not the Raptors would really draft him. So first thing is not a paint anchor. So he's not going to be able to come out and be that defender that's, coming in and just being a rim protector, blocking a ton of shots, doing a lot of stuff at the back end of the paint. Yes, he does have some athleticism. He's switchable, which is cool in the modern NBA, but he's not going to be able to, be that main guy. And when you want to compliment Jakob Poeltl, you probably want someone that's going to be that shot blocky athletic guy. And while Jakob Poeltl definitely might be lean more to Derik Queen than, your prime Tyson Chandlers or something that Masai Ujiri is always kind of coveted at this point, the Serge Ibaka's of the world, he definitely, it isn't usually Masai Ujiri's style of basketball player. He's also very streaky, he's turnover prone, and he's a bit undersized as a big man. And frankly, the Toronto Raptors, especially the forward and center positions, they love taking flyers. They love taking risks on these types of guys that are super athletic, that are a bit raw coming into the NBA, and, have that extremely high upside versus someone that's already more of a known commodity coming in, knowing what they can do and all this type of stuff. Now, do I agree with this philosophy? It's definitely a higher risk, high approach strategy to drafting and everything that's going on at this point. So while Derik Queen, I think, is a more polished player, I think more exciting for a lot of people coming in right at the start, positional fit, all of these types of things, I think in terms of just what Masai Ujiri has done in the past, he's not going to be a specific type of archetype of player that he'd be going out and taking a pick, as important as this one is to the future of the Toronto Raptors organization. So that's the first thing. There's question marks about, the turnover prone, all that stuff. That is what it is. But the final thing that I think put the nail in the coffin for this is Masai Ujiri is always looking for, a certain personality type. He's always looking for someone that's super bought in, that's super this. We have different personalities in the team, lighthearted, but he did make these comments, which had some Raptors fans fired up, but basically saying, I've never been to Toronto. I heard it's nice, but I also heard they got the worst taxes. And, again, that's a complete nothing burger. It's nothing I'd personally care about. He was clearly joking out there in the interview and stuff like that, but just making comments like that could come across as very immature, when you're giving these interviews for a place you're about to go to and things like that. It's just not usually the style of player. It's not usually the type of guy Masai Ujiri ends up drafting. It's just the reality of it. He's avoided that type of, polished kind of rookie coming in, knowing what they're doing, know what their style, and then personality types off the court. He's talked about time and time again. Personality fit is the biggest thing that you're looking for, and frankly, I just don't see Masai Ujiri going after a guy like Derik Queen. If we're going after a big man, if there's going to be a spot there, it's going to be a common Malwatch that's out there in that position. That's one name that I'd really be looking for. And a few other guys that you can kind of see on this list and see pop up here is SNU is a guy that I think is very, very possible selection for the Toronto Raptors. Very much a more raw basketball player coming into this team, and a development project that has extremely high upside. That just screams to me more of the, common Malwatch isn't there if we don't make any trades, if we don't make any moves. The type of player that we'll be looking at. But of course, we'll be diving into all these prospects, diving into all the potential fits. The draft is a few weeks away now at this point, so lots of stuff to cover. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.